Since I got some improvement, I started understanding the importance of reading, the how powerful it is to read books from people who are more successful than you, who have achieved something that you want to achieve yourself. And I started understanding just how powerful it is. And that understanding started making me, I started to read for the sake of reading. I stopped reading just to look for information, but I started to read for the sake of reading, for the sake of filling my day with reading. And yeah, I recommend you yet. A lot of people, successful people, recommend you to spend the most of your free time, the time when you have nothing to do, just learning. Elon Musk, Hamza, and people like that, they recommend you to spend that free time that you have learning, reading, all those things. But sometimes it can get you into the wrong mindset when it comes to reading. Because when you first got some improvement, before you even got some improvement, the way you read was probably not just reading. Okay, yeah, it was probably the case. You're probably also reading just for the sake of reading because of school, because of the education system and how it programmed you to read, just go through full books that you have no interest in, that you're not curious about at all, and you just go through it from start to finish. But I don't think that's the right mindset when it comes to reading. Yesterday, I'll take an example for you. Yesterday, I was reading a book called Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. And basically, in that book, he talks about productivity 21 most powerful productivity tactics that he knows. Brian Tracy is I think he's not alive anymore, but he was a very successful salesman in his time. So he made a book about productivity, different productivity tactics. And I got the PDF of it on my computer. I started reading it. It was a very good book. And I read the first few chapters, but I noticed that around the middle of the book, there were a lot of concepts that I already understood, a lot of concepts that I already knew, a lot of concepts that I already learned from other places, probably from people who also read that book. So did I just start reading through it, through those chapters, even though I already understood the concepts? No. I just skipped ahead until I found a chapter where there was a concept that I didn't really understand that well. Where there was a chapter, a concept that I was curious about, that I believe I didn't really know enough about. And that's how reading it then. So I finished that book in 1 hour, the book Eat That Frog. But I didn't read through the whole book because, yeah, I understood a lot of the concepts. So of course I skipped over the concept that I already understood, and it should be common sense, but it wasn't for me. I think it isn't for most people because a lot of us have this weird sacredness when it comes to reading books. We believe that we should read through the first page of the book until the last one. We should go to the introduction. We should go to each and every page because that's just how you read. But no, that's not the case. There's no rule saying that. When you read, and at least when you read in your someone's self-improvement, where you don't read just for entertainment, and you don't just read first for to get a little bit of dopamine. You should read looking for information, looking to grow. And when you are going through something, a book that gives you information that you're not really curious about, or you already understand the concept, why the fuck should you keep reading it? Why the fuck should you go to the end? There's no rule saying you should finish each book that you start. The goal you have with reading is to get new information. Not necessarily new, but understand some concepts. Get a great understanding that you had before. That's just like the goal we have with reading. And that's why a lot of people are bored, including myself, are very bored about reading because they go through books, or even though they already understand the concept or they're not really curious about that concept at all. But they just sit there and say, oh yeah, I started reading this, so I'm going to finish it before I read the book that I really want to read. No. Just stop looking at books as books or looking at reading as just, oh yeah, I'm just going to read a book. Or let me find a book. Think more about, let me find information that I need. Let me find information. Don't think about books. Think about information in general. I think that's a good friend that can help you. And when you go about reading and learning with that frame of, well, yeah, let me not look for books to read, or let me not look for a new book to read. Let me look for information that I need, information I'm curious about, information that I want to get. What information do I want? What information do I need? Not what book do I need, what information do I need? And when you go about it with that frame, I just think it's so powerful. And you're going to enjoy reading a lot more, because when you read about some concept that you're kind of curious about and don't really fully understand, and start reading it, and through the book that you read, you start understanding it a lot more and more and more. It's a lot more fun than reading a book about a concept that you already understand enough, can understand enough, and you don't really need the information right now. So go more about it. But what information do I need? What information do I want? What information am I looking for? And can even lead you to sometimes you reread some books. You don't really read through a full book, but then look for chapters that you already need. Look for chapters that you currently are curious about. Look for chapters that you currently need in your business or need in your daily life. Because you notice that, oh yeah, I don't think I understand this chapter fully. That's not the chapter that I want to understand a little bit more. And I'm curious about this information. Stop looking at books from a book standpoint, but look at books from an information standpoint. What information do I want? What information do I need? I think just changing this frame and looking at it from this other perspective, for me, it helps me a lot. It helps me a lot to read this in this way and learn this way. Because I often find myself adding this formality, adding this kind of sacredness when it comes to reading and learning, saying to myself, okay, I started this book, so I'm going to read it to the end. But that's not like the right frame of mind. You're reading, if you're self-improvement and you read self-help books and read books that give you information, why the fuck should you force yourself to read a book from start to finish, even though you understood a lot of concepts that are explained in different chapters and you understand them well enough to the point where you're not really curious about it right now? If you're reading a book and you notice that you're not having fun, skip to another chapter that you found more interesting, that you will find more fun to read. Even if you're self-improvement, you should have fun whilst reading, because when you're not having fun, when you're not curious about a certain thing that you're reading about, bro, you become like a little bit more disabled. It's harder for you to, you give yourself mental disabilities when you're not enjoying what you read, because you won't be as focused because you're not enjoying it as much. You probably won't read as long because you're not enjoying it as much. But when you find a book that you actually enjoy, bro, you're so focused, you're able to just enter like a trend and just sit there and just read about it with so much focus when you're actually interested in it. But when you're reading a book or a chapter of a book that you're not really curious about, that you don't enjoy, bro, you have to push just so hard to be able to read through it, to focus on it. Your brain will go elsewhere and then you have to bring it back, and then go elsewhere and then you have to bring it back. But when you're actually enjoying it and you're actually curious about it, you can just sit there and actually be fully focused on it. So you should even enjoy what you read, even when you read self-help books. See yourself as a curious guy who just follows his curiosity, who follows what he's actually curious about, and just reads kind of for fun, but reads self-help books, reads for information, and also has a lot of fun whilst reading it. I think that's a lot better. Because imagine a guy that forces himself to read some random books that you have no just interest in, but he just forces himself to read it and just reads for like 20 minutes of a random book that an influencer recommended him to read. And then imagine the other guy. That guy would just fucking love reading. Who sits down, and reading is probably one of the most fun part of his day. He just sits there with a book in his hand and he reads to the chapter that he actually enjoys, and that actually piques his curiosity. And he just loves it. And just reads for hours and hours and just reads it anytime he has free time. When he's not working, when he's not training, when he's not playing time with his family, he would just read. He would just pick up that book and read because he has so much fun whilst doing it. I think that's a lot better than hating what you read. So yeah, that's what I have to say. Don't run away from discomfort. Chase it.